This is one of the things that probably many managers tend to fail at. So you want to be a manager. You have decided that this is the career path that you want to take in the future. And now you are thinking, what are the skills that you will need in order to be a proper manager and shine in the work that you had to do. Being a manager is going to change quite much the things that you had to do, especially if you come from an expert position. So in this video, let's go and talk about what are the skills that you will need to have in order to be a manager. My experience is in tech companies, so I'm going to be talking more from the tech company's point of view. So there are many things that you are going to have to pay attention when you start being a manager, and I'm mainly referring when you are managing a team. It's true that sometimes product managers have to manage a project. They don't necessarily always have to manage a team, although many of the principles will still apply because they have to convince and guide and lead people without having an actual leadership position or managerial position, which makes it actually even more challenging to handle. Número uno, you will have to establish what are the goals and the vision for your team or for the part of the project that you are managing. So you have to be very clear of what are going to be the goals of what you want to achieve, and that these goals are also very clear to whoever is participating in your project or whoever is part of your team. Clarity is always important. Then there's going to be a bunch of them that are related to how your team works and ways of working and knowing the people that are within your team. In most of the cases, whenever you go into some kind of managerial position, you are going to work with a team that is existing. If you're lucky, you can build your own team from the bottom up, but that's usually not the case for most of us. So some of the things that you have to understand is to know how your team is working, know how your team behaves, what are their interests or what are their worries, and what are the potential problems that they might have. So you have to understand what are the ways of working that they are adopting at this point to understand how those can be improved potentially in the future. And this doesn't mean that you as a manager has to go there like a bull in a china shop. Is that the saying? Never remember if it's a bull or an elephant. Either or. And go and change all the ways of working in the team without agreeing with the team. So it's very important that when you go as a manager, you actually work with the team to know them and to see how things can get better in the future. Número tres. Something that is going to be very important is that you empathize with your team. It's very related to the previous one, but you as a manager, as a leader, you had to be understanding how the team works and be part of the team. You don't want to be an outsider that is just going there to tell people what to do and how to do it. You want to participate with them and also help them raise their voice and make their voice heard so they can also understand that their concerns and their points of view are taken into account. And this is not just to make sure that people are considered important, it's because they are typically experts and they have their expert areas and expert point of view, and of course it's important that we respect those things. And usually you as a manager or me as a manager, we are never going to know all the things, and typically most of the people are the ones that are going to be working many times in certain projects and are going to understand the project and the content and the scope of it much better, and they are going to have much more knowledge than potentially I'm going to have in that project. So it's very important that you empathize, listen, and collaborate with your team. Número cuatro. What is going to be also very important is that you are there for your team to make sure that you enable the work, that you help them being able to achieve the goals. Many people tend to fail from what is an idea to actually put it in practice. So many times what is going to be very important for you is that you are able to help the team prioritizing things that are more important at a certain point and helping make that decision and support them. It's important that they are able to focus and deliver the projects that they are working in. Helping them and enabling them and giving them ownership of the work that they are doing is going to be very important for you as a manager. Número cinco. It's also going to be very important for you as a manager that you are able to put big ideas into practical, actionable items. This is one of the things that probably many managers tend to fail at. They might be very good at bringing new ideas, but they might not be very good at putting them into practice. So just throwing an idea without being able to put it into a practical context is going to be always difficult then for any team or your team or any other team to actually take it into practice. So being able to come up with whatever idea it is that you have, it might be that how we are going to change and deliver better the products that we have, you had to be able to put this into practice. And this doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. It means that you have to be able to work with your team then to put these ideas into practice. For example, it's very easy to say that we are going to adopt Agile, but when it comes to the practicalities, it's not just having daily stand-ups. There is much more things to actually adopt Agile and understand what Agile is. Número 6. Coaching. This is one of the things that many times are completely overlooked as managers. As a team manager, you are going to have to look into how can you help your team members develop, how you can coach them to get better at what they're doing. This can be done in many ways, and typically you are going to be somehow an expert on what they are doing, so you are able to share what you have been doing in the past and your experiences to help them grow and help finding answers to potential problems and bottlenecks that they are having. And also that you are able to help them and give them the room to grow and develop in their career. So bringing the coaching aspect is something very important for you if you want to build a successful team. Número 7. Many times this is going to be one of the most difficult ones to do, is to let go and trust your team. It's very easy for many of us when you come from an expert position into a managerial position to just try to continue to do the things because you know them very well, you have been doing them for years, and you know how to do it, and you can help the team to do them. So for example, doing feature requests or implementing a new feature into the product or developing some code. But the reality is that as a manager, typically you're not expected to do that. You're expected to develop your team and enable your team to do their job. So being able to let go of those things that potentially you still love to do and trust that others are going to do it is key. And especially when you think that your team is not able to do them as well or as good as you think you will do them. This might be biased, it might be true, it might be not, it might not be. It's also very important that you trust your team members to do it on their own, even if they don't do it exactly as you would do it, but that they learn and they can develop in the future. So trust, letting go is going to be very important. If you want to learn more why leaders or managers fail on the work that they're doing, go and check out this video up here. If you have any comments on what skills do you need as a manager, are you a manager already, or are you interested in being a manager? Comment below and let us know. If you like this kind of comment, I would appreciate a lot if you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm and also helps YouTube to promote this content to other people out there. I will see you in the next video, and remember, stay safe.